When I went to a luxury hotel for a family trip, my mother-in-law said, "Are you staying here too?" I replied, "No. I'm invited elsewhere," when I pressed button for the top floor in the elevator. "You don't even have a reservation here, and the rooms are fully booked." Her cool voice echoed through the hotel lobby, and for a moment, I couldn't believe my ears. Standing in front of me were my mother-in-law and husband happily chatting at the check-in counter. "What's the point of you coming along on a family trip?" Her piercing gaze felt like it was stabbing straight through me. "I did say I'd be coming along, didn't I?" My voice came out strained, almost swallowed by the ambient noise of the busy lobby. Emily snorted dismissively. "You didn't make a reservation in the first place. How could you possibly expect to stay? Just go home." I could feel the eyes of other guests turning toward us. My ears grew hot, and my heart started pounding in my chest. A wave of shame surged over me, but I fought the urge to lower my head. Giving in would only let them win. How much more would I have to endure to be accepted? My chest tightened with a sense of powerlessness. "Do you know how much a night here costs? It's $2,000 per night. You don't have that kind of money, Meg." My husband's words struck me like a blow to the chest. No matter how hard I tried, I would never be part of this family. Memories of all the times I've been belittled, overworked, and unappreciated flooded my mind. "Someone of your background wouldn't belong in a place like this anyway. Go back home where you belong." Her cruel words pierced my ears, adding salt to the wound. I clenched my fists tightly, holding back the tears that threatened to spill over. "Actually, I've been invited here separately, so don't worry about me." I spoke calmly, though my voice wavered slightly. For the first time, I saw my mother-in-law's face contort with shock. A small spark of triumph lit within me. In that moment, I felt an unfamiliar strength rising within me. For years, I had lived with my husband and mother-in-law under the same roof. My father-in-law passed away several years ago, and my husband had pleaded with me to move him to help his mother. At first, my mother-in-law pretended to be considerate, saying, "Oh, it's fine, dear," but it was only ever directed at my husband. Once we started living together, her attitude toward me changed completely. Initially, she acted kind, saying things like, "It must be tough getting used to this," but that only lasted a few days. She began nitpicking everything I did, from household chores to the smallest details of my daily routine. "This house follows the James family traditions, you know." She treated me as if I were an intruder. My husband, meanwhile, just brushed it off, saying, "Just do as Mom says, and everything will be fine." I was working full-time as a manager in the sales department of a large corporation, having achieved my position at a young age. My monthly salary exceeded $5,000 and I was financially independent. I had hoped my work would be respected after marriage, but my husband's attitude began to shift. Before we got married, he had been so supportive, often saying, "I love how hard-working you are," and even cooking meals when I came home tired. After marriage, however, he prioritized his mother's opinions over mine. Emily's disdain became more apparent. Women in the Jameses family have always been homemakers. She looked down on me for my background, emphasizing her pride in being part of a family of government workers. My parents were ordinary working-class people, my father a local company employee, and my mother a part-time worker. From the very first meeting, my mother-in-law had treated them with thinly veiled contempt. "Oh, be proud that your daughter is marrying into a family of civil servants." She has said this with a fake smile to my parents, making my mother visibly uncomfortable. The insults extended to me directly after marriage. "You'll need to stop working and focus on having children." She often pressured me to leave my job, calling it shameful for James' daughter-in-law to work late hours. Whenever I sought my husband's support, he would only dismiss her words, saying, "She doesn't mean any harm by it." I endured countless stinging remarks after long days at work. "Another wash day at the office, I see." Each jab struck deeper, yet I swallowed my responses, trying to keep the peace. My husband, technically a public servant, worked in a non-regular capacity, something he had hidden from his mother. "Don't tell her, okay? She's always respected Dad's achievements." Knowing the truth would only upset her. I couldn't help but wonder why a lie was necessary, but I agreed to keep his secret. Over time, I realized how deeply my husband's sense of duty to his mother affected his actions. Emily remained completely unaware of his non-regular status, often praising him and envisioning a future grandchild as a true James heir. "When the grandchild comes, they'll be raised to continue the James legacy." Her words were so definitive, as if she alone had decided the future of a child who didn't yet exist. When my husband echoed her sentiments, I felt an overwhelming sense of isolation. "Mom's just thinking ahead. Don't take it personally." My voice was never considered. My opinions never sought. Meanwhile, my daily life revolved around shouldering all the housework even though I worked full-time. Emily rarely lifted a finger, claiming her way of doing things was superior. "I have my own methods, you just handle it." Even my husband refused to help brushing off my requests. That's your role. Why are you complaining? Her constant criticisms only added to the burden. Your cooking is subpar. Your cleaning lacks thoroughness. If you can't even do basic chores, you should quit your job. I'd hoped my husband would intervene, but instead, he joined in the belittlement. Mom's right. You've always been a bit clumsy. Together, they laughed at my expense, their shared derision freezing my heart. Tears no longer came easily. My emotions felt dulled by constant disappointment. Yet, deep inside, a small voice grew louder. This can't continue. I knew I had to change my circumstances, even if it meant facing uncertainty alone. About a year ago, my husband started going on frequent weekend business trips, something entirely new. The sudden change sparked a sense of unease. Whenever I asked about it, he responded with a confident smile, explaining it was a major responsibility assigned to him. It's important work, shows they trust me. Yet I couldn't ignore the growing suspicions gnawing at me. He began buying new suits and wearing cologne more often, behaviors that felt out of character. My instincts whispered what my heart refused to accept: infidelity. Around this time, an old friend reached out to organize a reunion to celebrate my promotion. Congratulations, Meg. Let's gather at a luxury hotel to celebrate properly. Her enthusiasm provided a brief respite from my daily struggles. However, this joy was overshadowed when my mother-in-law announced a family trip she had planned. I saw this beautiful hotel in your pamphlets. We're staying there. She demanded I handle the payments, claiming she'd taken care of the reservations. My protest fell on deaf ears, and my husband sided with her. Stop complaining. It's Mom's birthday trip. The trip coincided with the reunion, a conflict I couldn't bring myself to explain. Despite my growing resentment, I prepared for the trip, unwilling to spark another argument. When we arrived at the hotel, my mother-in-law hurried to the front desk, leaving me stunned by her next words. You don't have a reservation here, and the rooms are fully booked. Her voice echoed in the luxurious lobby, drawing the attention of nearby guests. My body froze, and the world around me seemed to blur. The opulent surroundings felt suffocating as her words echoed in my ears. My husband's voice, cold and dismissive, cut through my shock. Pay back the money for the reservation later or just leave. I gasped, my chest tightening. The cost of a single night here was more than my monthly salary, a sum I could never afford on the spot. Emily's smirk deepened as she added insult to injury. Someone like you doesn't belong in a place like this. Just go home. The humiliation burned my cheese as the guests around us murmured, their curious gazes cutting into me. Yet as much as her words stung, I knew I couldn't let them see me falter. Summoning every ounce of composure, I forced a smile. That's fine. I have a separate invitation, so please don't worry about me. Her expression twisted into one of confusion, then annoyance. For the first time, I felt a flicker of satisfaction watching her face crumble. My heart pounded as I approached the front desk, doing my best to ignore the weight of their stares. I'm here for the alumni event. The staff immediately recognized my reservation. Their polite demeanor, a stark contrast to my mother-in-law's treatment. Of course, this way to the exclusive floor. Relief washed over me as I followed them to the elevator. I glanced back only once to see my mother-in-law and husband standing motionless, their shocked expressions frozen in place. The sight filled me with a sense of quiet triumph. As the elevator doors closed, I took a deep breath, feeling the tension in my chest loosen. For the first time in years, I felt like I had reclaimed a piece of myself. Stepping into the grand ballroom, I was greeted by warm smiles and cheers from my old classmates. Meg, there you are. We've been waiting for you. Their genuine excitement brought tears to my eyes, but this time, there were tears of relief and gratitude. Sorry I'm late. Something interesting happened earlier. As I recounted the encounter, my friends listened intently, their reactions ranging from disbelief to outrage. What nerve! They had no right to treat you like that. Honestly, you've endured enough. You deserve better, Meg. Their words of support soothed my wounded spirit, reinforcing my resolve. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I wasn't alone. As the evening progressed, laughter and memories filled the air, erasing the bitter taste of the earlier confrontation. But just as I started to relax, the doors to the ballroom swung open. Emily and her husband stood there scanning the room. The lively atmosphere quieted as everyone turned to look at them. Emily's eyes widened as she took in the luxurious surroundings and the crowd of successful alumni. Her voice, usually so commanding, faltered. What is this? Her face twisted with confusion and a hint of fear. I'm sorry, but this is a private event. Family members aren't permitted unless invited. The firm tone left no room for argument, and for a moment, my mother-in-law seemed lost for words. But I'm her family. I have every right to be here. Her voice grew sharper, but it was clear she was grasping at straws. Family? After the way you've treated her, you think you still have that right? The room murmured in agreement, and my mother-in-law's face turned red. "You don't understand. This girl has been nothing but a burden to our family." Her words sliced through the air, but instead of feeling her, I felt a simmering anger rise within me. "A burden?" My voice, though quiet, carried through the room, silencing everyone. "I've cooked, cleaned, and worked tirelessly for your family. Not once have you ever shown gratitude." Emily opened her mouth to respond, but I didn't let her. "And yet, here you are, trying to humiliate me in front of my peers." Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. "Tell me, what have I ever done to deserve this?" The room was dead silent as my mother-in-law shifted uncomfortably. "Meg, don't make a scene." His dismissive tone only fueled my anger. "A scene? You think standing up for myself is making a scene?" I turned to him, my voice unwavering. "For years, I've endured your indifference. You stood by while your mother disrespected me." My classmates' supportive gazes gave me strength as I continued. "And let's not forget your business trips. Should I share the evidence I've gathered with everyone here?" His face went pale as a collective gasp spread through the room. "What are you talking about?" Without hesitation, I pulled out the folder containing proof of his infidelity and placed it on the table. My husband reached for it, but one of my friends intercepted, flipping through the pages with a look of disgust. "You're unbelievable. After everything Max has done for you?" Emily's shock turned to fury as she rounded on her son. "Is this true? How could you do this to our family?" Her hypocrisy was almost laughable, but I chose to stay silent, letting them unravel before my eyes. "I can explain." His desperate tone only made his lies more transparent. "Meg, you don't owe them anything. Not your time, your loyalty, or your patience." Their words emboldened me as I stood tall. "You're right, I don't. That's why I'm leaving this marriage and everything that comes with it." The finality in my voice seemed to strike a chord. My husband's shoulders slumped, and my mother-in-law looked like she had been slapped. "You'll regret this, Meg." Her threat rang hollow, and for the first time, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. "No. I won't." With that, I turned to my friends, their warm smiles, a stark contrast to the chaos behind me. The room erupted in applause as I walked away, leaving my past behind and stepping into a future filled with hope. My husband reached out, his hand trembling slightly as he tried to grab my arm. "Meg, please don't do this. We can work it out." His voice, once so confident and dismissive, was now filled with desperation. "Work it out?" I pulled my arm away, stepping back to put distance between us. "You've had years to work it out, but you chose her." I motioned to my mother-in-law, whose face was a mixture of anger and panic over me every single time. I turned to face my mother-in-law, the weight of all her words and actions pressing on my chest like a physical force. "And you've spent years belittling me, undermining me, trying to break me." My voice grew steadier, louder, fueled by the ears of bottled-up frustration. "But you didn't break me. You only made me stronger." "Stronger? Look at you, standing there, making a spectacle of yourself. You think anyone respects you?" She sneered, her words dripping with venom. But for the first time, they didn't sting. "Yes, I do." I looked around the room, meeting the supportive gazes of my friends, and even some strangers who had gathered nearby, watching the confrontation unfold. "We do, Meg. You deserve better than this. Much better." The murmurs of agreement rippled through the room, each voice adding weight to my resolve. "You're nothing but an ungrateful, selfish—" Before she could finish, one of my friends, a tall woman with a commanding presence, stepped forward. "All right. That's enough. You've said more than enough." Her voice was calm, but firm, and for the first time, my mother-in-law faltered. "Who are you to tell me?" "A friend. A friend who's watched Meg put up with your noses for far too long, and I'm done standing by silently." The room was tense, the silence stretching as my mother-in-law struggled to find a response. "Mom, stop. Just stop." My husband's voice was low, almost inaudible, but it was enough to break her to rot. "You're taking her side now?" She looked at him incredulous, but he simply lowered his gaze, defeated. "Don't worry. You don't have to choose." My voice was soft, but the words carried a finality that left no room for argument. "I've already made the choice for both of you." With that, I turned my back on them, walking toward the exit, my friends falling into step beside me like a protective wall. "Are you okay?" one of them asked softly, her concern evident in her tone. "I will be." And for the first time in years, I believed it. As we reached the hotel's main entrance, the cool night air hit my face, and I inhaled deeply, letting it wash over me like a cleansing wave. "What now?" another friend asked, her eyes searching mine for answers. "Now I start over, for me." My voice was steady, my resolve unshakable. The city lights sparkled in the distance, a symbol of the new beginning waiting for me. And as I walked away from the hotel, surrounded by people who truly cared for me, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known in years. The car ride home with my friends was filled with light chatter, their voices a welcome distraction from the storm of emotions still lingering inside me. You were incredible back there. I don't think anyone else could have handled it the way you did. Oh, I don't know if it was incredible or just overdue. I managed a small smile, but my thoughts kept drifting back to the confrontation. Sometimes, overdue is exactly what's needed. You've put up with enough, Meg. Now it's time for you to focus on you. Her words struck a chord, and I nodded, gazing out the window as the city lights blurred into streaks of gold and white. So what's next? Do you need help packing, finding a place? You know we're here for anything. Their offers of support brought a lump up to my throat. For so long, I had felt alone, trapped in a house that never felt like home. Now the idea of starting anew felt both exhilarating and terrifying. I'll figure it out, but knowing you're here means everything. My voice cracked slightly, but I didn't mind. Vulnerability felt safer now, surrounded by people who genuinely cared. We've got you, Meg, whatever you need. As we pulled up to my apartment complex, I took a deep breath before stepping out of the car. Do you want us to come up? No, it's okay. I think I need some time to process everything, but thank you. Really. They hugged me one by one, their warmth, a stark contrast to the coldness I had grown accustomed to over the years. Once inside my apartment, I leaned against the door, the silence almost deafening. The memories of the evening replayed in my mind, each moment sharpening my resolve. I walked to the bedroom, pulling out an empty suitcase from the closet. Time to pack. The words were spoken aloud, more to convince myself than anything else. As I folded clothes and sorted through belongings, I stumbled upon a photo album tucked away on a high shelf. Opening it, I saw pictures of my wedding day, smiles frozen in time. I lingered on one image, my husband and I cutting the cake, our hands intertwined. Who were we back then? I whispered the question to the empty room, tears welling up, but not falling. Closing the album, I placed it in a pile of items to leave behind. These memories weren't mine anymore. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the curtains, illuminating the half-packed boxes scattered around the room. My phone buzzed, pulling me out of my thoughts. Good morning. Just checking in. How are you feeling today? A little overwhelmed, but okay. Thanks for asking. Don't forget, you're stronger than you think. Let me know if you need anything. I smiled at the message, grateful for the reminder. Just as I was about to continue packing, there was a knock at the door. My heart skipped a beat. Who could it be? Peering through the peephole, I saw my husband standing there, looking disheveled and nervous. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorknob. Finally, I opened the door a crack, just enough to see his face. Meg, please, I need to talk to you. His voice was barely above a whisper, but I could sense the weight of his words. I don't think we have anything left to say. Just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking for. I steadied him for a moment before stepping aside and motioning for him to enter. He stepped inside, his eyes darting around the room, taking in the half-packed boxes and the open suitcase on the bed. You're really leaving? What did you expect? My tone was sharper than I intended, but I didn't apologize. I know I messed up. No, I ruined everything. But, Meg, can we talk about this? Talk about what? How you betrayed me? How you let your mother treat me like I didn't matter? His face crumpled, guilt etched into every line. I know I failed you. I failed us. But I swear, I want to make things right. And what does that look like exactly? My arms are crossed tightly, a barrier between us. I'll cut ties with my mom. I'll go to therapy. I'll do whatever it takes. Just don't leave me, Meg. His voice cracked, and for a brief moment, I saw the man I had fallen in love with. It's not that simple. Why not? We've been through so much together. Doesn't that mean anything? His desperation was palpable, but it wasn't enough to erase the years of pain. It did. It meant everything. But you let it all slip away. I was stupid, blind to what I was doing to you. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm asking for a chance. I felt the familiar tug of his words, the part of me that wanted to believe in redemption, but another part, stronger now, resisted. A chance to do what? Repeat the same cycle? No. A chance to be better, to prove I can be the husband you deserve. I sighed, turning away from him to gather my thoughts. I've given you chances, so many chances. Each time, I hoped things would change, but they didn't, and I can't keep doing this to myself. He reached out, but I stepped back. The space between us, a physical reminder of the emotional distance that had grown. Please, Meg, don't let this be the end. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger or sadness. I felt nothing. It already is. The finality of my words hung in the air, and I saw the realization draw in his eyes. I don't know how to fix this. Maybe that's the point. It's not something you can fix anymore. He nodded slowly, his shoulders slumping as he made his way to the door. I'll always regret what I did to us. He paused, looking back one last time. Goodbye, Meg. The door closed softly behind him, leaving me alone in the quiet apartment. I sank onto the bed, the weight of the moment